We are live. Go here. That. Gotta come up with some intro music.
Yeah, get us a little beat.
Share now. Let's get that going. All right. Close that. Close it all. All right, let's hop to it, Brother Mason. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kickback presents the Postgame show on the Diamond in the Bluff podcast network. I am your boy Jamal, aka Slim. Over there on the other side of the screen is the homie Mace. This is a show where we break down and analyze Memphis sports. And tonight's game is the Memphis Tigers versus the SMU Mustangs. The Tigers lose 65-67. Game just went off. So, Mace, before we hop into the nitty gritty and the jump into the deep analytics of going to, what was your overall thoughts of the game?
Man, I feel like I just played in that game. I haven't been that invested in a Memphis basketball game in quite some time. It feels like just from top level, first half sucked. Second half, we looked awesome. And we just couldn't pull it out in the end. So that's the top level. Good to see the fight, but, got some things to work on.
It was good to see the fight. That's something that I got. They play so damn hard, man. You will never not. That's the one thing that one of the good things I can say about Penny and his coaching. In the 3 years he's been coaching, his teams have always played hard. He always gets those players to play very hard. Overall, you can tell that this was the second game between these two teams in a couple days. Got a little chippy, a lot of talking going on, and just the way that the game was played, some familiarity was going on. I'm gonna click on that. We're gonna get there, Campbell, in a minute. But it was an interesting game to watch. Once again, like most Memphis games, when they play a decent team, it was a tale of two halves. It was definitely a tale of two halves. And you saw what Memphis could be, and you saw in the second half a team in Memphis and what they could be, and you saw in the first half what you don't want them to be. So let's go to the first half.
So I missed like the first couple minutes. I'm finishing up a COVID test. And by the time I get, hopefully, we'll see. That's why I got tested more. But by the time I even got to see the game, we had made a line change like a couple minutes in, and we had 3 turnovers.
Yeah. So they started the game off with 4 straight turnovers, and he started with the usual starting lineup. The starting lineup for the last couple games with Jaden in it. And then they didn't do anything that half, man. It was a slow start. I wrote down on my paper. Slow start with the same starting lineup, 4 straight turnovers, and then he he switched out and brought in Alo, Boogie, and DJ. The one thing that surprised me in this game was the ineffectiveness of Musa. As you know, I have taken a very special interest in Musa because I think the team just plays well with Musa on the court, and he just plays so damn hard. The defense, man, the defense. That's a constant of this Memphis team. It kept them in at that first half. When they weren't scoring. They stopped them from scoring. He got to change that starting lineup, though.
Yeah,
he got to get rid of that.
I mean, and we said it each show. Like we kept eking out wins or beat ECU, but the starting lineup was just not getting it done. And you're at your best when Alo's on the floor running the team. So start him. Pretty simple. But I know the defense eventually did keep them in it, but I thought we got off to a slow start defensively. They were up like 12-2. Offensively struggling, looking like we were at our worst, basically. And Boogie thankfully gets the bailout 3 that Alo kind of hot potatoes to him right before the shot clock ends, and we get 5 points finally. But just the first half, man, I thought the intensity wasn't there. It wasn't there for being a road game and one of the toughest opponents in your conference's game that you have to win to kind of take control of that second place and distance yourselves from the team you're playing. And I don't know if Alo's obviously hurt. You see him limping up and down the court sometimes, but he was much better in the second half. But in the first half, he was walking the ball up court, just had no impact on the game, dribbling it. Dan Dockich said it a million times. I'm sure everyone heard it. But when the team just goes one-on-one and doesn't make passes, they're not going to score. They're not going to beat anyone. When they start moving the ball, they can play with, the best of them in their conference outside of Houston, to be determined. But just the first half to start, man, it was so sluggish. 6 turnovers in the first 9 minutes, yet we're only down 6, 8-4.
Exactly. And to show the scoring woes that the Tigers were having, I wrote that they had 8 points with 8 minutes and 53 seconds on the clock. So they only scored 8 points in 12 minutes in 11 minutes. But their defense picked up halfway through the second half, or right after the lineup change, the defense picked up, and that's when they started like SMU didn't want to win this game.
Bro, we got lucky because they missed so many open shots in that first half, in that first 10, 12 minutes right there when we couldn't score.
SMU gave Memphis every opportunity to take control of this game. Memphis didn't. I wrote down some tips, some things that I thought would happen. I guess I talked at the end of the game, about the end of the game. But you watch the first half, the score was 33-23 SMU. And it was a pretty bad half from both teams. And the stats of that were, which I think were telling, SMU shot 45%, Memphis shot 47%. SMU only shot 22 from the 3-point line. Memphis shot 50%, but Memphis had 12 turnovers. 12 turnovers in the first half when they had a total of 12 in the last game. And that's what it was. I think that is the first 4 straight turnovers in the first 3 minutes. Charges, traveling, stepping out of bounds. Like, it was crazy, man. And it you don't want to say it was like a lack of preparedness, like they weren't prepared, because that's kind of how they play. But I think that starting group, they just got to have some organization. They got to have Alo on the court to organize them so they can start doing it. And Penny has to trust it. Hopefully this loss gets him out of that superstitious stuff. And he can start. You got to start and play the best 5. Forget everything else. Start and play your best 5 that can get you in the game.
I mean, you said it. I can't remember if it was that when we were doing the last show or 2 shows ago against ECU. You said you playing against a team like SMU and starting that lineup and getting off to a slow start is going to come back to bite you.
It's going to bite you.
And that's exactly what it did. And I know Landers was basically our only one scoring in the first half. He led us with 7 points, but he forced some shots. I thought he took a couple selfish, quick shots that led to easy baskets for SMU getting out, because Landers' shot's kind of flat, so when he misses it bounces far, and they were off to the races. But I thought defensively we got killed on some backdoor cuts, just ball watching, not being aware of where your man is. It was Damian Ball, and I think Nolly got beat once too, and then we just didn't protect the ball. We were so careless with our passes. I mean, it was middle school passes, trying to throw across the perimeter, and DeAndre Williams, who's 24 years old, is throwing soft passes, and like you're sitting on your couch like, oh, that's a steal for a layup. Like, I'm taking that one to the rack.
He tomahawked that shit too. He got that on the head. Go ahead.
But to the defense's credit, their 2 top scorers, Kendrick Davis, 0 for 8 in the first half, and Tyson Jolly 1 for 3. But then you got others, as my boy Shaq would say, Farron Hunt's got 13 and 5 of 6 shooting. They can't have. Most of them are on those backdoor cuts. I think he made 1 3.
Well, then, I was going to mention that the job that Alo and Lester and that group. It was a group. Obviously, there was something that was talked about in the game plan of keeping Kendrick Davis grounded and not letting him get comfortable, because whoever was on him did a great job. And I'm not going to act like I watched that much SMU games before this, but obviously he's a short guy and he seems to struggle with length, because you put Lester on him, you put Damian on him, and even Alo to an extent held him in check, right? Like you said, he was 0 for 8, but he had 4 assists. One thing I always look for in this first half, and I think it's DJ had no shots in the first half. DJ didn't take a shot. And like I said, he's very important. Let me pull up the stats so I can see.
I mean, how disappointing coming off of the last game where he had that huge stretch where he hit 3 buckets in a row, 8 quick points. And then just today, the minutes you were out there, you can't tell me one thing he did. Like there was no impact on the game. And we said it, like without DJ Jeffries, it's going to be tough for this team to win.
Took 2 shots the entire game. 2 shots, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Like you can't have a stat line with DJ having a stat line like that and winning the game.
And do you? I mean, yes, more plays could be run for him, but okay, I can tell you one play DJ made. Actually, he drove baseline. All the defenders collapsed to the hoop. He tries to throw it to the corner where 2 defenders are waiting. And it's a turnover, but there's 3 men wide open at the top of the key, like spaced out around the perimeter. So to me, like it's hard to trust someone and run plays for them when they get the ball and make decisions like that. And obviously it's just one boneheaded play, and everyone on the team had plenty. I mean, Landers Nolly, he was a turnover machine early on. So, but when DJ's head is not in the game, like it's hard to keep him out there. It's hard to justify it.
And I'm sure that's Penny's internal justification. Like he's just too inconsistent of a player. And as much as we know what he can do or what he's capable of doing, he doesn't consistently do it. So there's no reason for him to be on the court. You can't put somebody out there that you can't trust. And apparently DJ has lost some of that trust, because I don't see why he don't be in the games.
Yeah, I mean, especially like I said, when you see the flashes in last game, but what did he give you tonight? Like, what did he do to earn more time when he was on the court tonight? I know he can get a bucket, but we had the defensive lineup in that was wreaking havoc. And it's almost like if he doesn't get, and I don't even know, it's not like that, because we've seen him get 10 rebounds. But it's just like some games he is there and he is locked in. Some games he's not. And we see that all the time in college.
Where it's like you have to find a way to impact the game when your jumper's not falling, or when you're not even shooting the ball because you only took 2 shots. So like you got to find another way to, whether you impacting on defense or whether you impacting with rebounding, whatever, with bringing energy to the court. I mean, that's what you have to do, right?
I mean, DJ should have 6 points alone in that second half just off of easy layups that the press gave him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like he is that type of player. That's a swing man. He should be running the floor and like nowhere to be found.
Here's my question. Now I'm gonna say that afterwards. I got a lot of questions. I wrote down a lot of notes for stuff that I think we just need to tackle at one point. I don't want to keep doing it at one time. So let's go to the second half. Second half, Tigers start down by 10. And it was kind of the first couple minutes was whatever, trading baskets or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then they just locked in defensively. And that team went 11 minutes without scoring, without getting the field goal. SMU did.
Is that what it was? I know we were down 35-48 at one point, and then we went on a 9-0 run, cut it to 54-47.
Let's check it out in the play-by-play.
Because that's when the 9-0 run, Boogie hit a 3. Then Alo got to the line, hit 2 free throws. Then your boy Williams came through with another 3.
It's a terrible shot. His shot is so terrible.
And then Alo hit the little post-up fadeaway in the middle of the lane. So it was really that 3-point guard lineup. It was Alo, Ball, I thought he was really effective defensively, and Boogie. All 3 of those in the game, and eventually Les got in there. So it was those 4 and Williams, pretty small.
So at 11 minutes and 59 seconds, Farron Hunt made a 2-point shot to make it 38-54. They were stuck on 54 until 6 minutes and 49 seconds. So basically 5 full minutes almost, basically 5 full minutes. And they just made free throws. They didn't even make a bucket. They didn't make a field goal until 4 minutes and 18 seconds. So they went from 11:59 to 4:18 without making a field goal. They only made 2 free throws in that span. Like, the defense was crazy, man. And I wrote down, and this is when they were getting beat. I wrote down, like, you're okay with Memphis losing this game, but you didn't want them to lose it in a way that was bad, right? In the way that, like, they were getting blown out those first few minutes, because you wanted to see some fight, you wanted to see something happen, and then they flipped the switch and they turned their defense on, and they just look like a completely different team. And I guess, like, having their defense lead to offense, and that offense getting the energy going and getting the team going is what they need to do. They put the fear of God in Kendrick Davis. For this dude to be the AAC leading scorer or whatever he was out of it. From the start of that second half, the look on his face, he was out of it. They were pressing. This dude was throwing the ball over people's heads. He himself had at least 4 turnovers in the second half. Couldn't make a wide open shot. They were in his head, and I'm sure that that's something that they wanted to do, and that's something that we've seen Alo and Lester in particular do to a lot of defenders throughout the season.
I think they held him to something like 4 for 24 over 2 games, and a total of 14 points when he's averaging 19 a game. So, I mean, all you can do is tip your cap to the effort that they put in, especially Les. You're not seeing much offense from Quinones, but the effort on defense is getting noticed. And, I mean, it's for real. Like, he is a defender. He's a lockdown defender at the college level. But, yeah, dude, SMU looked like a middle school team for much of the second half. They were throwing the ball 10 feet out of bounds, or they actually looked like first half Memphis, honestly.
Wow. They were in a team that didn't have no press, and actually no press breaker. And this is when those instances is when I think they were missing. They felt their coach missing. They felt the calming presence of a head coach. I didn't realize that the 2 people coaching were the third and fourth assistant. Like, so the head coach was out, then the associate head coach is out. So you got assistants 2 and 3 coaching the game. No, y'all ain't coaching. No.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
I didn't until they said it during the broadcast. I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense now. In the way that, especially the way they handled that drought, because it should have been more timeouts. It should have been like, you got to figure out some way to help Davis get the pressure off of him, because they were in his head. He could not do anything with it. One thing that was really that I paid attention to in the first half, and we made a point about it last game, the fouls and free throws. So in the first half, Memphis had 7 fouls. SMU had 4. Free throws were kind of the same. SMU was 3 for 3, and Memphis was 2 for 4. And this is my problem. It's always been a problem. College referees are the fucking worst. They are the absolute worst. They changed their reffing style from the first half to the second half. And even within the second half, they changed their reffing style from 12 minutes on. Like, you do the players a disservice when you let them be as physical as they are, grab, hold, and do everything else that you don't call. And then you starting to tighten your whistle up. You called a bogus double technical after DeAndre Williams blocked the shot. And they called it on him and the bench. Bro, just let that go. Like, just like that does nothing. All you do is give him another foul. They was already at the line shooting free throws. Like, who cares about that? The refs think it's all about them, and they want to be the show, and that ain't what it is. And I think that the refs actually, I said it in the last show, the refs did Memphis a disservice this game. And that's going to be an issue with them in the future, how the games are refereed. Memphis is a very physical, grabby, holdy team. And sometimes some reffing crews going to let you get away with it, and some aren't. And this was one that didn't know what they wanted to do, but ultimately decided that they weren't going to let it happen in the second half. And it ended up coming to bite Memphis in the butt.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And just to follow up on our conversation from the previous show, I did look up Memphis, their fouls on the season and where they ranked. They were like 230 something. Like they foul a lot. So I think they've just turned their defense up lately and just playing better defense. But I especially late in the game, man, I thought they really started blowing the whistle. And we can just kind of run through the rest of it and get to the end of the game and just go from there.
Yeah, do that.
Nolly had that 3 after he pump fake twice, gave the ball up, gets it right back. He's open for a 3. That brought us within 1, 55, 56. Then we got a turnover and Alo threw the oop to Williams. And I'm like, okay, that's the play of the game right there.
Yep.
And then they come back down, and the big fella for SMU, Anye, he gets his offensive rebound, tips it in.
Almost a goaltending.
I think it was. When we got the high view, you know, what's interesting is they shoot this game from like a helicopter view, first of all. And then on the one play where we need above the cylinder view, we can't get it. I'm like, why is this broadcast so high? Like we're playing 2K on aerial. But just so I thought that was a bad call. And there was another one right around there where Alo got a steal and saved it. He like threw it from the corner and it went to Lester for 2 points. They said Alo stepped out of bounds. Jamal, guess what? I got a DVR. I rewound it. Alo's in bounds, clearly. And what pisses you off is the referee on the baseline. There's a referee on the sideline staring at Alo, doesn't blow his whistle.
I don't know enough about reffing to know who's the seniority and who gets the call and what, but I've also seen enough of refs running in and overturning somebody's call. Like they did it at the end.
Yeah.
On a possession. Like, no, there was like I don't like when refs don't do that. Like if you have a better vantage point, you make the call or you override the person who made the call.
Yeah, and so that put them back in the lead by 1, and then we come out of timeout. DeAndre Williams goes 1-on-1, and you mentioned that technical being his 4th foul. When he goes 1-on-1, he doesn't attack the hoop. He kind of stops because there's someone who steps in to take a charge, and he kind of fades away. Little funky ass shot. Doesn't go in. Then Lester has a dumb foul 92 feet away from the basket. They're in the bonus. Dan Dockich was letting you know that some of those chippy fouls were going to come back to bite Memphis. Some of them were good calls, like the reach that they called. But Lester had this foul 92 feet away from the basket. Kid makes the first free throw. Somebody gives up an offensive rebound on the free throw. Who was it, Jamal?
Who was? I don't know. I can't remember.
Lester compounded a mistake with a mistake, then got beat on a backdoor cut. And that gave SMU a 4-point lead. And then we get the Alo off the back for 2 on the inbounds play, which that takes some balls, you know. But
it's interesting. All of that. Like the last 3 minutes of that game, complete shit show in every way of the world.
Yeah, and I'll just finish running through it. Then Alo hit Nolly in the corner for that 3, like off the perfect pick and roll up top, then dishes to the corner. Tigers take the lead 64-63. Then we come down the court, and it's back to your referees. The big fella for SMU is posting up. Les is guarding him. They're not looking to get him the ball in the post, and what do we get? An away from the ball foul.
Mm-hmm.
They go to the line and get 2 free throws. Alo comes down, gets the charge. Then we foul again because I think we got beat backdoor, and the dude with they're not baby dreads, but kind of adolescent dreads, maybe.
Yeah.
Bandoulet or something like that.
Yeah, he got a weird name.
Yeah, and then of course Boogie gets fouled in the corner, misses the second free throw of 3 that would have tied the game if he made all 3, and Tigers don't get the ball in bounds to close the game. And this is probably where Jamal goes to talk about how we can't run a play when we need to.
You know, I will say this, though. 2 plays before that, it might have been it wasn't the 3 that Nolly hit. They ran another elevator play. They ran a play where Nolly comes through two screens at the top of the key, gets the ball at the top of the key. There's 2 screens there. Somebody slips. He throws it to him. And there was a foul. I think he throws it to DeAndre Williams. There was a foul there. They tried to run that again on the side for Boogie, but before they got to that, Penny called a timeout. They wasted so much time getting into the set. Like they got the ball off the free throw, whatever. They came down the court. They were down by 3, and Dockage is yelling. You know, he's saying because it was still a lot of time left. Maybe 30, 40 seconds left. Like you don't need a 3 now. Lay up and keep it going. But they couldn't get up. They couldn't run. They ran the play wrong. Alo must have went to the wrong side, or there was some miscommunication between Nolly and DeAndre Williams, because they were both looking at each other like this. So Penny calls a timeout. Then they come out with the elevator play to get Boogie. Actually, the play that he ran to get Boogie that 3 was really good. I don't know who drew it up, but the play because somebody came off a pick to get somebody who you thought was going to be a shooter, either Nolly, it must have been Nolly, came off the pick to go to the other corner. So the defense followed him. They hit DeAndre Williams in the middle of the court. DeAndre Williams acted like he was going to drive and then kicked it out to Boogie. And for Boogie, that was a decent look. I mean, the dude definitely fouled him, but there was a look that he could have made. And then, you know, they couldn't do an inbound after Boogie missed the free throw, and they got the jump ball, which could have been a foul on Musa coming over the back, but they got Boogie with the tie up first. They couldn't do a play to get in, and the refs just swallowed their whistle because somebody did get. They got held. Like the refs just said, "Fuck it, we ready to go home," and they went home. But that's what you get with a young coach in Penny. That's what you get with a young coach. But you would hope that there would be enough veterans on the court to be able to get something right. Alo could have called something or did something. But 2 nice plays, man. 2 nice plays to get good looks, and one of the looks didn't fall, and you go from there.
Yeah, on the final one, Williams did get held, I thought, but in the first half they wouldn't have called it, but late in the second half they would have called it.
What they were calling in the second half, you would have thought they would have called it.
But you know, heads up play by Boogie to get that jump ball. He showed a spark, which I feel like we say that every couple of games about Boogie or DJ is like, oh, there's a spark. Like the fire got a chance to rekindle. He was 3 of 9, though, not very efficient, but he had 9 points. So you'll take that from him. Wish he could have knocked down those free throws, but that's a tough ask, 3 straight.
Oh, yeah. 3 straight from somebody like, thank God it is for him, in the pressure pack situation, you don't have 8. I don't know how many people their arena sits. You don't have 13,000 people yelling at you to shoot it. But no, I mean, good look. Penny, I remember Nolly hit a 3 at the top of the key. And he's talking shit going down the court. They call a timeout, and Penny's talking shit coming on the court like, yeah. I'm like, hey, you're the coach, bro. You can't be doing this. You got to keep your composure. But it was, if Memphis was to lose this game, this is kind of the way you wanted them to lose it, right? You didn't want them to take a full step. You didn't want them to lose it where they took a couple steps back. They still took a step back by turning the ball over so much this game. But as we say with every Memphis game, the makings are there. You see what they can be if they can just put it together. Now, what you don't want to be is a team that everybody says they'll be good if they can just put it together. At some point, we have to see that. Now you got UCF coming into Memphis for 2 games at the beginning of next week. You should beat them. Those should be easy wins for you. But we also know that nothing with the Tigers is easy. So we'll go from there. But I want to hit you with some questions. So before the game, and I was at work, not working today. I wrote down my keys to the game, right? Can the Tigers continue to have a dominant Musa? He did nothing. He gave you absolutely nothing today, which surprised that they were still in the game without him. That's why, Dan Dockage said it. I think everybody has said it. The coaching Penny Hardaway does in the second half of games is some of the best coaching he ever does. He told us last game that Musa was having trouble with the pick and roll. So I'm actually surprised that he even played him as much as he did with what was going on, right? Because he's having trouble with the pick and roll, and then you go with that smaller lineup for more of the game, which you did in the second half, and you got back into it. We said fouls and free throw count. Let's see what that total was. for all of that. So Memphis shot 10 of 15, and SMU shot 12 of 13. So they're pretty much equal. 17 fouls for them. 17 fouls for the Tigers, 13 fouls for that. So as equal as you're going to get. Is that in that way?
What did you think of the charge call on Alex Lomax?
It could have went either way. I think dude did a good job at selling it, and Alo gave him a little bit of a chicken wing, but in real time, I said there was a charge, but on the replay, I was like, yeah.
It was a little bit of a shoulder dip. Yeah, either way, I could.
As much as I would want to hate on that, in how they were calling the rest of the half, you're surprised that they call it. But when they do call it, you say, you know what, whatever. I said, can the Tigers continue their hot shooting? And this is my own little research, that I did, and put my book down. In the last 3 games, Tigers versus Wichita State, they shot 45%. Excuse me, total of 45%, 61 from 3. Against ECU, they shot 50%, 44 from 3. Against SMU earlier this week, they shot 51%, 48 from 3. And then tonight, they shot 47, 48%, and 45 from 3. So they continued the hot shooting. Like, the shooting was there. You know what I'm saying? A stat I looked up as well. And this just goes to show you that that's why you need the contributions from DJ and Boogie. Tigers are 8-1 when scoring more than 70 points. And that one loss, they still scored more than 70 points. The one loss was to Auburn. Auburn had 74 and the Tigers had 71. So, like, it's 70 is the goal for them. If they get to 70, they're more than likely going to win the game because they got the offense clicking and they're doing that. So you want to see them be able to do that a lot more frequently to get that high up of a score in the 70s.
Yeah, and you talk about the shooting percentages and everything looks great, but then you go look at field goal attempts. We attempted 48. SMU had 60.
Yeah,
that's 12 more shots than us, and they only made 2 more buckets.
We turned the ball over 17 times.
17 times to 11, and then they had 4 more offensive rebounds than we did. Which, without Musa, I guess it kind of is what it is, especially when you got Alo, Ball, Boogie, and Lester out there for a while. But Lester holds his own against the bigs, to his credit as well. But you just can't have that type of first half where you have 12 turnovers and however many points you said. I know it was the worst scoring first half of the season for the Tigers.
23 points.
And you end with 65. Like,
yeah. Like, that's the thing. You can't do that. It was, like I said, you repeated it. I'll say it again because it made me sound smart. Can't have those slow starts against good teams. You can't. And ultimately, they climbed out of it, but the energy that you expend to do that, it could come back and bite. It can hurt you. And that's what it did. That's what it did tonight.
Yeah, they held SMU to 3 field goals the final 12 minutes.
Crazy.
This is a game that at one point SMU should have broken the lead open. And then this is a game that now Memphis is going to be kicking themselves that they should have won.
Right.
Numbers wise and Ken Palm in the net and stuff, SMU just had this exact same loss basically, and they moved up in the numbers. So we'll see how it affects Memphis. It's not a bad loss by any means, but it is one that you really would have liked them to have. And you just go back and look at the first half and the first couple minutes of the second half where you had the shot clock violation and a couple more turnovers right before you go on that 9-0 run. And it's like, damn, the game was right there. 2 mistakes.
This loss looks worse if they lose 1 to UCF.
Oh yeah, you can't lose to UCF. UCF is garbage.
UCF, then this loss feels and looks a lot worse. I also said PG play, assist, and turnovers. We talked about that. Alo has to be more aggressive, more of a shot taker, not even a shot maker. He just has to be a shot taker. He started doing that in the second half, and the game kind of flipped. Can they defend the best players? They did that. They took Kendrick Davis completely out of the game. Jolly did a little bit. The others at SMU had to continue doing the stuff. And then I even wrote it down, and it came true. Slow start equal change in starting lineup. He got to. We've said it. We're gonna keep saying it. We're gonna say it until he do it. You got to change the starting lineup. You got to. Jaden, love the guy to death. Great guy. Don't start him no more. Don't start him no more.
I mean, he got a 0 trillion.
Did he?
Look at that! Look at that stat line. There's
yeah, no 0. Yep, there you go. Can't. No need for that. They don't have the minutes up.
As the leader of the Jaden train, and I know he had like 6 minutes in the first half, I think. So I don't think he had much more than that.
No.
He needs to be relegated to the bench. Start Alo. I would probably keep everyone else the same. Lester, Landers, Nolly, Musa, and Williams. You're big. You can defend. You got shot makers. If less, it's so odd to me that throughout the whole course of the game, he only found 4 shots, and it seemed like he was out there the whole time.
I can imagine that he played more. He probably played what? It's 40 minutes in the college basketball game. He played 28, 30.
Hey, let's see. I got it right here. Lester had 27. DeAndre Williams led the team with 33, 29 Landers, and 28 Alo. Then Damian at 23.
Yeah, 27 minutes, 4 shots. I mean, you're not completely asking Lester to give you crazy numbers on offense. I wrote this down. Tell me if you agree. And it came to me last night as I was thinking about this. Lester is this team's Draymond Green, right? Has that been out in the public? Did I steal that from somebody? Is that my own thought?
I don't think that's been out there, but I think it's kind of understood that he is the defensive player. Like, he's going to guard the best player on the other team and take them out of the game. But what do you mean exactly by that?
I think that I call Lester the team's Draymond Green because he does so much, so versatile, and you don't really need him to be that effective on the offensive end. Like I said, he's going to guard the other team's best player. He's going to give you some rebounds. How many did he have? He only had 2.
Yeah,
he had 2. Can make some shots and can be respected as a shot taker. And I think just his energy, his bravado, the shit he does that pisses me off is the stuff that team feeds on and needs. He just gives me a lot of Draymond Green vibes. Like, if he makes it he won't make it to the league. Is he league bound? I don't think he's league bound.
We'll see.
I don't think so.
His defense is giving him a chance, and he's got the form of a jump shot. He's got good size. I don't think it's out of the question.
I want to double check his athleticism because that's going to be a lot. But anyway, that's down the line. But I think I look at him as the Draymond Green type or the Draymond Green of that team. Also, go ahead.
1 second. Let me just hit on him. And to his credit, he is one of, if not the most unselfish player on the team.
Right.
Which you have to appreciate with the stretches we've seen from this team where it's one-on-one ball. They don't trust each other. He is buying into the trust. So I can see what you're saying is he's kind of the leader. Like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Him and Alo. I think they share that with DeAndre Williams kind of coming on as in that leader role as well. But I would just like to see Les get like at least 3 attempts from downtown a game.
Right. He shot the ball pretty well last year. You would think that there would be some kind of effort to get him some shots at the 3-point line. But once again, like I said, man, I don't know what the game plan is or whatever, but you get people shots. You can get these guys shots in as fast as you play. You can be able to get, like I think I did the ideal shot breakdown the other day. Like, DJ should get 8 to 10 shots. Landers should get 10 to 12, 11 to 13 shots. Lester should probably get 6 to 8. Alo should get 3 to 5. Williams should get 8 to 10, 8 to 11. Musa should get nothing ran for him, but anytime he gets an offensive rebound, dunk or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Boogie should get 8 to 10 shots a game. Damian Ball should probably get 6 to 7 shots a game. To me, that would be ideal shot distribution. But one thing I want to see, I thought about, Do you think, and they did this last game and were successful, if you were Penny, would you run more zone? You got Musa in the middle. You got these long-ass defenders on the wings, right? I mean, the shortest guy you got is A-Lo at 5'11", and everybody else is over 6'4", over 6'4", 6'5". Like, I think a zone, like them playing a matchup zone, not your normal 2-3, but a matchup zone with their arms out, all in the passing lanes, all in the vision. I think that'll be a good look for this team.
We've seen them go to zone a couple times, and I want to say the Wichita State game, and maybe even the last game against SMU, they went to it a couple times. And it's just hit or miss. It's basically just like the rest of this team. When they are locked in and focused on what they're doing, it's really good. I mean, this team can't go wrong defensively, honestly, whatever they want to do.
Right. I mean, like, it's not much complaining or changing that you should do with them on the defensive end because they defense. So, I mean, for my liking, I wouldn't press as much. That's just me. When you run up against good guards, it's tough to press. But
I would sit Musa right in front of the rim like 99% of the time. I'd be like, if that big dude goes out there, you let him go, let him shoot that broke ass jumper, and you're gonna stand right here around the rim and be a deterrent.
Right. Like, I mean, and that's what he's good at. He's really good at that.
But I understand you got to develop him as a basketball player too. So
if he ain't trying to go to if he's trying to go to the league next year, then let the league do it. All I need you to do, let the coaches you get next year do it. What I need you to do for this team is to stand there with your hands up, and be active because they're really active. They always have active hands. Yeah, man. I like I said, I'm not gonna be as tough on them as I would be. And now if they lost this game by 16, like they were on the verge to do in the start of the second half, I came in here and shitted on them. But they did there's one thing that this team gonna do is fight. That's one thing this team gonna do is play hard, and they're gonna get their ass back in the game if they getting blown out. And that's what they did. I mean, that defensive stretch, like I said, that 6-minute defensive stretch was crazy. Like, they had SMU going crazy. This dude throwing the ball everywhere, traveling, kicking the ball. They got nobody. They don't know how to do anything. He's missing wide open shots. You the leading scorer in the AAC, and you missed 2 wide open threes. Nobody within 5 feet of you. And all you do is hang your head after. They in your head. They were in his head. So you hope that they can build on that. Hopefully this is just a blip with the turnovers. But we'll see. And you use these next 2 games against UCF as basically scrimmages and warm-up games. You beat the fuck out of them, basically.
Yeah. Emotionally, I'm let down just from the highs and lows of a game. But from the aerial level, top-level view, this loss doesn't change anything that was in play before this game. And honestly, like I said, it may even bump you up in the numbers because it was a road loss by 2 points. In a game that you were favored to lose, which we'll get into here in a second. I that if an at-large bid was on the table, I think it's still on the table. Obviously, that quadrant 2 or quadrant 1 win would definitely help, but you're going to see this team again in the tournament most likely and have to beat them a 3rd time. It's going to be a dogfight. And like you said, you got UCF coming in next, man. UCF started off hot. They beat Auburn, but that was before young superstar was playing, Sharif Cooper. They also beat Florida State. They beat Cincinnati. Then they lost to Houston twice, lost to Tulsa in South Florida, or lost to Temple in South Florida. And then they just beat ECU by 7. So,
yeah, you should beat them.
Yeah. And they play Wichita State on the 30th, Saturday. They're coming in Monday. So you're catching them in a stretch where they're playing a lot of games. And, I mean, you really need to beat them by 15 points 2 times in a row.
How do you think that Auburn game would have looked if Sharif Cooper played?
You know, I don't think it would have been that much different. I think this Tigers defense has shown that if it's Sharif Cooper, Anthony Edwards, they've got the tools to hold a player like that in check. So, you know, maybe
Homer answer. God, Sharif Cooper made them buckets.
Who was the last person to give them buckets? Like,
he giving everybody buckets. He would have handed out buckets to them. He would have put A-Lo on the post. But no, let's get into the superlatives. Your player of the game, who you got?
Well, I gotta go DeAndre. 17 points, 11 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, efficient, hit his 1-3 he took, and just, kind of kept us in the game the whole time. It felt like played center, played bigger than he is when Musa was out, held his own. We weren't getting beat on the boards a lot. So I thought it was a big game from him, his best game as a Tiger, and he just keeps getting better.
17 and 11. I'm going to go with Landers. I'm going to go with Landers. His offense was really big in the second half. And just he's the threat. Like, he gets his shot off quick. He got such a quick release. Don't need much space. So I'll give him that. And my honorable mention was Lester and Alo for their defense on Davis. Like I said, I've said it so many times in the show. They put that man in the bucket. They put him in the suitcase. They weren't going to dude looked confused. He didn't know what to do. I'm sure he's never had an opportunity, never had a game like that on the basketball court in a long time. And they got that from him. Bum of the game. Who is the bum of the game? Who was the game?
You were just talking about him, Kendrick Davis. Once again, I need not say anymore.
I'm going to go with the same people I went with last game. The 3 people in striped shirts. Once again, they themselves put their stamp on the game and determine the outcome with a bunch of bad calls, bunch of inconsistent calls. And yeah, it's not about like the only thing you ask referees is to be consistent. Consistently call it on them or consistently call it on me. Don't call one handshake on me and not one handshake on them or either other. That's why I said like Memphis put so much pressure on other teams and the referees to make calls. They can't call them all. So they let some go, and then that ends up snowballing into a bunch of other stuff. And then when they want to clean it up, they start getting tight, and it just throws everybody off.
And that's why you're my friend. If I would have given that answer, it would have been a homer answer. But I let you handle that business, so I appreciate that.
Like I just don't like refs like that, dog. Like it's not about you as a referee. You should just be able to obviously referee the game and be consistent in what you do. Yeah. So that's that. Play of the game. What was your play of the game?
Oh, I'm gonna let you go first. What you got?
I got the I'll be taking liberties and shit. So my play of the game is a sequence. It's actually the whole entire defense holding SMU scoreless for those 5 minutes. Like that was impressive to watch how hard they played defense and how thoroughly confused SMU was that they couldn't get anything done. They couldn't make layups, they couldn't make open shots, and they could barely get the ball past half court. And that sequence of them shutting them down and them slowly getting back in the game, creeping back in the game. So next thing you know, they look up, they got a lead. So that was my play or plays of the game.
Hey, I got a few written down here. I've got the Nolly 3 after the 2 pump fakes because you're like, don't shoot it. And then he gives it up and you're like, hell yeah. And then he's wide open and knocks it down and it brings it within 1. I mean, I'm downstairs yelling in the living room, man. I'm yelling. Like Lindsay, my wife, had to put in her AirPods and stuff. And then I think it's got to be the Alo off the back inbounds play. We were trailing by 4, really struggling to get a bucket at the time, and it was kind of like, oh man, we're gonna let this slip away. And then he throws it perfectly off Davis's back, gets 2 points, easy, and makes Davis look a little goofy. You've been going at it all game, and you pull one like that over on him.
Yeah,
that's tip your hat.
Davis is going to have nightmares about Alo. Alo did his thing against him. And last but not least, did Jamal win some money? Before we get into it, let's talk about the Tigers. This is the first game of the year that they weren't favored to win, which lets me know that Vegas wasn't impressed with the Tigers win on Tuesday. Because on Tuesday, the Tigers were a 2.5 point favorite. Tonight, they were a 4.5 point underdog. So they weren't. They figured, the SMU was going to beat this team. They figured that it was 2.5 points is basically a toss up to me. They figured it then, and they went with it now. So I saw that. I said, damn, I can take the Tigers plus 4.5, or I can just take them on the money line. Like, let me just, so I took the Tigers on the money line, and I put money on SMU to cover the spread to win by more than 4. So Jamal did not win any money tonight. Jamal lost the money because the Tigers did not win, and SMU only won by 2. So now this is the emotion that's going on in my mind as the game goes down, right? SMU's up by 3. Boogie gets fouled on the 3-point. I'm like, okay, it's 11 seconds. How much time was left on the clock when he got fouled?
3.
Is it 3 seconds left?
3 seconds, yep.
Okay, Boogie got fouled with 3 seconds. If he misses the 3, SMU will get the rebound. They'll foul. Maybe they'll foul. They go down, hit 2 free throws. They cover the 4.5.
So hold on. You want this young fella to miss 3 free throws? The confidence.
This is before he shot. This is before they shot the 3. This is during the timeout.
Okay.
This is when they're drawing the play up. So he gets fouled on the 3. And I'm like, okay, he needs to if he makes all 3 free throws, then we go into overtime, and that gives more time for that to happen. It gives more time for Memphis to either win or for Memphis to or for SMU to cover. Makes the free throw, missed the free throw. So now you're looking at 65, 67. Missed the free throw. Maybe it's the same thing. Missed the free throw, they get off the rebound, tied up, or tip out. Maybe Memphis can win now, so I can get the money line. But he missed. They do a jump ball, throw it in bounds, and they just let it go. And even if they did foul on the inbound and do maybe both free throws, it just would have been a 4-point game. The line was 4.5, so it wouldn't have helped me any. But there was before Boogie shot the 3, there was a small window for me to either have covered, or if he made the free throw and go into overtime for maybe Memphis to win and whatever. So, long story short, did not win any money off the Tigers tonight. It was a pretty bad night overall. My NBA picks didn't work out. My other college basketball picks didn't work out. So.
Well, I'm glad we could do the show to lift your spirits a little bit. But also, so the official timekeeper screwed you too by starting the clock early because it didn't give the Tigers time to foul.
Yeah, they were ready to get up out of there. Dallas was saying, we're not giving them no chances.
No, and I don't know how the referees took time off the clock after the jump ball. They took it from 1.3 to 1.1, but I'm sitting here doing some work at 11:35 a.m. Pacific time, to be specific. I get a text says first time the Tigers haven't been favored, or first game the Tigers haven't been favored in. Kind of worries me on the betting side. That's from you.
I know.
So I don't even respond. I just called my boy. I said, hey, send it in. Tigers, money line me. And so I'm sitting there in the first half like, oh, no. I bet on the Tigers and I jinxed them. And, then the second half, I'm sitting there sweating and hands sweating and stuff, and I lost. But it was worth the thrill.
I flirted with betting on Tigers plus 4.5. I was like, that I can do that instead and then do this. And then I was like, nah, I might well do the money line. The odds on the money line were that much better. And I actually did think that the Tigers had a chance of winning this game before they came out and shit the bed at the first half. So
yeah, and the guy I went in with, that was the same thing. He said, they're catching 4. Like, we don't need it. You watched the last 3 games. We don't need it.
We don't need it. And so man, we'll see what happens later. We'll see what happens with the UCF. Well, Mace, the Grizzlies might be back this weekend.
Let's go. John Moran for All-Star. Vote.
We might be breaking down the Grizzlies game. They're supposed to play San Antonio tomorrow, right?
Saturday.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Kickback presents the post-game show on the Diamond in the Bluff podcast network, media network, whatever you want to call us. We got to figure out that name sometime soon. Follow us on everything. If you're watching this, you're probably watching on Facebook. So go ahead and follow us on Facebook, the Kickback, and follow Mace and myself. And got any final words, Mace? Are we good to go with this?
We're good to go, man. Tigers fans, the end goal is still in reach, whatever that goal might be in your brain. So it's still in reach after this loss.
Well, there it is. Tigers fans, keep your head up. Not too bad of a loss for you guys. I'm looking at the TV now. Arizona's playing Stanford. I think it's a tie game. We can't go to a tournament, so we just plan to play. But one of my best friends coaches for Stanford, and I would love to talk some shit to him once we beat him. He was a manager at Arizona with me, so he's torn anyway. With that being said, we will catch y'all after the next game, be that the Grizzlies or the Tigers on Monday. We'll holler at you.
Peace.
Peace.